It would.
Call this meeting to order. All stand and face the flag with the pledge. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
You may be seated. Roll call. Britton Luther.
Present.
R.J. Donovan.
Here.
Tim Yelkin's present. We're going to start this meeting with a jail issue here for the building corporation, so it can be taken care of. And if you guys need to leave, you could leave. It's up to you, Rick.
Okay, thank you. In addition to the commissioners meeting, we have the building corporation meeting this evening. So if you want to call your meeting to order here.
I'd like to call the Vermillion County, Indiana Building Corporation meeting to order.
Okay, as you know, the lease was preliminarily approved by the commissioners and the building corporation 2 weeks ago, and the council approved the lease earlier this evening, and now the final step in that approval process is for the Board of Commissioners to hold a public hearing and consider a resolution that you have before you that provides the final approval. So this also approves the issuance of the bonds by the building corporation. It authorizes other actions that are necessary to transfer the existing jail to the building corporation so that it can be leased back. It is effectively the last step in the financing approval process from the commissioners. To remind everyone that may not be aware, then the construction professionals are working to put together bids for the project. They would go out to bid, and those bids would be received, and upon receipt of those bids, then Baker Tilly, as your municipal advisor, would determine how much money has to be borrowed, and at that point the bonds would be sized, and if they come in, the bids come in as projected, then we'd move forward. If they're come in over what was projected, then obviously we'd be back and have a discussion on that. So it's important so that we're in a position to accept bids that we believe are strong bids. If they come in, then we get the approval process out of the way in advance. So I'd be happy to answer any questions from the commissioners. If not, you have the resolution before you, but before you consider the resolution, you need to open a public hearing, ask for any public comment.
Okay.
Make a motion that we open for a public hearing of the jail project for the purposes of reviewing the lease agreements and resolution accordingly.
I second that motion. Discussion.
None.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed?
So this is for the public hearing, so you need to elicit. I don't know if there's anyone in the public that wants to comment.
Any public comment? Any questions?
What we're going to be doing is there's a resolution that's going to be in front of that we're going to make a motion on for ordinance, and basically it's going to execute a lease between the building corporation and the commissioners, basically obliging the jail facilities, the physical facilities, for the interest in the jail for allowing the bonds to be sold. And if there's any interest or if there's any comment concerning the jail or anything concerning the lease agreements or anything to that effect, we're open for discussion.
I guess I'm just curious, what is the assessed value of the jail?
That's going to be done. We have in front of us tonight also an appraisal that need to be done, of which we have to have two appraisers appraise the jail and give us a value for that, and that has not been done at this point. We have some guesstimates, but they're not worth talking about till we actually get the appraisals. Mhm.
That's also required by law, correct? That you get 2 appraisals?
Yeah. And it's really, you know, the right hand giving the money to the left hand in the transfer to the jail, and so it can be leased back, and then once the financing is complete, the jail automatically reverts back to the county.
We get to buy it back. Is there anything else that anybody wants to discuss? Now's a good time for it.
You want to have a motion to close the public hearing then?
Make a motion to close public hearing.
I'll second your motion.
All in favor?
You have discussion.
Okay, discussion. If someone wants to discuss closing this meeting, that's
I think
fine.
it's a good time to close the meeting.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Closed meeting.
And then do you have a resolution number for this, or?
Yes, right here. This is for
14.
the corporation.
No, this is for the
Oh,
Board of
it's on the
Commissioners, yeah.
Yep.
Make a motion for the resolution 2021-14, and read it by title only. Resolution of the Board of Commissioners of Vermillion County, Indiana, and approving execution of a lease for certain jail facilities and related matters.
I'll second that motion.
All in favor?
Discussion.
Discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? None. Pass.
Then to complete the commissioners' actions this evening, and then we'll turn to the building corporation. As was mentioned earlier, that the jail has to be appraised by 2 licensed appraisers, and we have contacted appraisers that several appraisers. And 2 that you have before you are appraisers that have done jails for other counties and have submitted quotes of $7,500 and $6,000. So we'd just like an oral motion to move forward with those appraisals and bring them back before the commissioners.
Make a motion that we approve the 2 appraisers, Brooks Galloway Real Estate and Auction Company, and CEI Appraisal Group Incorporated, for the appraisal of the Vermillion County Jail.
I'll second that motion.
Discussion.
We did go out and look at other firms. Unfortunately, there's not very many firms that appraise jails. And so these actually come out of Indianapolis. We tried to find some local firms for someone in the area anyway, regionally, and we didn't have much luck with that. The appraisers, it does take a certain type of appraiser to do these. From what I understand, there's the residential appraisers, but in order to do this type of facility, you have to become a different level called general appraiser. And so they're far and few between, apparently, as best I can find. It is a professional service, and so it's, anyway, what's up for bid at this, or what's up for motion at this time.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Pass.
Okay, turning to the building corporation, what the building corporation has before it is a resolution that actually authorizes the issuance of the bonds and approves the related financing documents. There was a discussion earlier this evening with the council about limiting the amount of the bonds to $17 million, and that is the that is the structure of the financing as it stands now, based on the construction estimates we have. The resolution before you authorizes up to $19.5 million in bonds. In the event that the construction bids come in higher than expected, there's the flexibility without going back for further approvals by the building corporation to issue a larger amount of bonds should the council and the commissioners decide that's how they want to go. We're obviously not anticipating that. That's, you know, we have construction professionals that have vetted the project and have put in their informed, educated estimates of the cost and built their financial plan. But we want to have that flexibility because when the bonds come, when the bids come in, they kind of are what they are. And if we feel that, if the county feels they want to accept those bids, we don't want to have to go back through this approval process. So that, I'd be happy to answer any questions regarding the resolution.
I think we want to move forward.
Okay.
I'll ask my board to approve the 19.5,
No, approve the resolution.
approve the resolution to move forward on the sale of the bond.
I'd like to make the motion to accept this resolution as proposed for the sale of bonds.
To the second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, the resolution passes. If we could get you guys to sign a couple copies, that'd be great. That's the last official action. The building corporation this evening, we would like you to sign the lease before you leave, the president and the secretary, and also want to have the commissioners and the auditor sign the lease. So Dustin, do you have a couple copies of the lease that we can have signed, or you got it?
And I gave them a copy of the lease.
So in this lease, the way it's set up is,
Brenda?
Here's a copy.
okay.
Was it not in your?
Well,
Copy of those, okay.
I got one. We're gonna just have.
That's the second one. I can give that to you.
Do we have a notary present?
Yes, we do.
DJ says I've been waiting for this.
Send your bill.
Commissioners would sign the lease also.
You can fill in anything I miss.
That's all we have for you this evening.
Put it at the end.
Should have our names underneath that.
Okay, I got you.
Oh, okay. Great.
I haven't even felt, I'm too involved in this all. Dan?
Thanks for coming.
Yeah. Yeah.
Alter your.
Who do you have notarizing those? Who's notarizing that?
DJ.
Okay. I sign my name, there's no name underneath of it. Should we have our names underneath of it? I can't read it, so.
The counselor can't read your signature. I hear about that every time I go to a meeting. What department head signed this? That's Tim Yoke. They said you got a doctor's signature.
I make myself look important, so. Okay, let me get my.
Yeah, because yours is, yeah.
We're gonna move it.
close their meeting? Did the corporation close their meeting?
Yeah, they closed it over here.
I was too involved in talking that I missed the closing. If not, they're gonna be an open meeting for a while.
Come back next month. You wanna go on with the minutes?
I'll wait till I get over there. We're just about done.
You're pushing our hour limit tonight. Me and John's trying to cook some dinner at some point at our respective homes tonight.
Is that it? Tammy, on the minutes.
All right, so I'm good. Yep. All right, thank you.
Just sign right there.
Here.
Okay, that's all we got for you.
Yeah, everybody's attention.
Do the rest of them need to sign or just that one?
Moving on.
Thank you for your patience. We're going to move along. Got approval of minutes.
Make a motion that we approve the minutes as written.
I'll second the motion.
Discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
I thought you were gonna go first.
Opposed? You gotta be quick.
I was pausing. I thought.
Approval of claims.
I'll make a motion to approve claims as written.
I second the motion.
You want discussion on this or not, Brendan? No
I do,
discussion.
but we don't wanna do
Okay.
that tonight.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed?
Yeah, we'll see.
Approval of payroll.
Make a motion that we approve the payroll.
I'll second that motion.
No discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
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 I have a
Opposed?
question before we go beyond payroll. The indication was from one of the employees was that we held back a full month's worth of pay before they get paid. Is that true?
2 weeks, I think. Isn't it 2 weeks?
I think it's 2 weeks.
We might, okay. I'll check with them, but apparently one of them that's quitting has got a month's worth of pay coming for some reason. I'll have to look into that further, I guess.
They may have comp time,
Could be.
sick time, vacation time.
They indicated it's because they didn't get paid for a month at the beginning, but
Oh.
that's why I said I need to look into that. But why? Well, let me find out who. It may not be true, so.
Okay, we're gonna move on. Open issues. The health department, I have a one page here I'll read out so you all can hear it. COVID-19 update, Vermillion County Health Department. Vermillion County advisory status has been in blue from March the 23rd to April 26th, which means low spread within Vermillion County. Positive cases between April the 1st and April 26th is 32. Total tested 7,283. Fully vaccinated 3,743. COVID-19 vaccine clinic will be moving from the 4-H community building back to the health department. I'm assuming they're saying in Clinton on May the 1st due to low numbers of vaccines being scheduled. But we'll still have the option of using a 4-H community building if needed for mass vaccine clinics in the future. The hours will stay the same at this point. Tuesday and Thursdays from 12 to 6 and Saturdays from 11 to 3. The COVID-19 testing site hours will be reduced from 35 to 21 hours a week, with the hours being Tuesday and Thursdays from 11 to 7 and Saturdays from 10 to 3. Vermillion County Health Department will be monitoring the COVID-19 closely and make changes as needed with vaccine clinics or testing sites if the need is there. So that's an update from the Health Department. Next we have Vermillion Rise.
Sam, if I could interject
Go ahead,
one
go
last
ahead.
thing on
Go
the
ahead.
health department. I would also like, I don't know when Dr. Albright's ever came before the commissioners. I would like to at least speak to him in some capacity. I've been trying to reach him for the last 3 weeks, and it seems to be no one can get a hold of him. So I don't know if he has an email, or maybe the auditors could maybe send the health department something that I would at least want to talk.
Come to the next meeting.
send a request for him to
Yeah.
come to the next meeting.
I mean, I wouldn't mind talking to him before the meeting, but yeah, if you could send a request, I would like that.
Okay.
That's-
Did any of the statutes get passed by the House and Senate?
I don't know.
There were some,
Going, I mean, at the state level?
yeah, there were some changes
have
that were
not.
proposed on the health department that were,
I think that was Senate Bill 5, wasn't it?
don't recall the number.
Yeah, I think that might have been.
I have not kept up on
Okay. Could you check and see that, whether those bills that passed that were directly related to the health department?
That's all I have.
that. Okay, any other questions about COVID or health department? Anybody? Anybody? We'll move ahead. Vermin Rise, Bob Gray.
Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
I thought I'd just maybe give you some snapshots from our April 15th board meeting. We continued discussion about the jail project and water and the like, and Eric shared the new map or project alignment where we're moving the meter closer to the highway garage instead of downstream, which makes sense. It was a great catch to do that. After the meeting, we continued to stay in contact with Eric at HWC, and we realized while we're going to have an agreement for water to the jail, we probably ought to have an agreement for with Hillsdale, as they're another utility. So we're kind of crafting a similar agreement with terms and conditions and who's on first and that. So again, our goal is to have that all ready for our May 20 meeting, and then can bring it to you following that.
Okay.
How is that structure going to be made? If at one point we were going, or the county was going to own the line from basically somewhere where we connect up at the Rise itself, all the way down to the jail, that connection to Hillsdale would also be on that same line. Would that have to be a three-party agreement in some way or another, or what?
Well, that's a good point. Because the jail is a beneficiary of that, so that might be could be
Something to consider
Yeah.
while you're looking at it.
Yeah, we were looking at it as our emergency feed to Hillsdale, but they'll be bringing water. Potential, hope it never happens, but if there's an emergency, they could bring water to the jail. So I will run that by Eric.
Has it been approved by your board yet?
No, we discussed it at our last meeting and mentioned the realignment of the connection and talked through everything, but Eric just asked for a little bit more time just to double check and make sure that everything is square.
Yeah, well, when you have this agreement wrote up for Hillsdale, will Eric be presenting that to them, or how will that work?
Well, we really just, maybe yesterday dawned on us we need it, so I think he provides consulting services to them, right? Or
Yeah, they do.
Or we'll both go down, or whatever it is, whatever we need to do.
Okay.
Do you recall, do they have a standing meeting?
Do what?
Do they have a standing date they meet?
Yeah, but I don't know. It's on a Thursday night, and I don't know which
Okay.
Thursday night it is.
Yeah, we probably know.
Okay.
Okay. Preferred Tire Recycling, formerly Pyrolex, they're interested in leasing a building, 2 buildings at the Rise for storage of equipment and supplies, so that's nice. It's some smaller warehouses north of the water tower. Scott Pett leased them for a while, and then they moved to renting a larger building. So that was very good news. We are continuing to work with the Indiana Office of Defense Development, and they've been great partners with us. We are working with coordinating a meeting between our board and the Indiana Economic Development Corporation. That's the state's lead economic development agency, and just to be sure that we're we're on the same page and that sort of thing. We received a grant from Duke Energy, and the scope of the grant was to produce a series of videos about the different land parcels within the rise that we market, the highway frontage, land behind the Shell building, the mega sites out west. So we're excited about getting started on that next week. We told the video guy this is the best time to video before the crops come in, and you can really see the difference between the tilled dirt and the tree lines and things like that. Also working with Duke on they asked us to be a pilot for something called the Strategic Site Initiative. So they're trying to put a little bit more information behind sites and buildings across Indiana, and they asked us to be a pilot in that regard. So we're happy to do that. Eddie Thompson on our board and myself met with Rick Matthews during the half marathon and talked about Rick's his career has been in emergency preparedness training. So he shared an example of a really remarkable training center in New York State that was built on a former military base, an Air Force facility. And I wasn't aware of the scope of emergency preparedness and the training, and so we reached out to, I think Eddie reached out to the sheriff, I reached out to Mark O'Hare. Mark and I met last week with the gentleman from Homeland Security. Apparently Indiana Homeland Security has people in regions, and Jerry Sears. Thank you. No, thank you. And had a good meeting. Jerry put me in touch with a guy at Homeland Security, emailed him, and pretty much as it stands around, I said, wow, that's interesting. Let us think about this. I don't know really what net benefit we could gain financially, but if there's a way we can play a role in preparing responders to better do their job, and it doesn't impact our operations, it's a win-win. So we'll move down that track.
I talked with Matthews here last week, so I think it was last week. His vision on this is more than where it's just the Zoom type meetings, and that's where I think he was a little bit excited about the rise, and that they were practicals. In other words, he would step in and actually do these in person and with the training, but not just a film that you watch and say, well, now you're certified with rail cars or houses or smoke and flames and whatever else that goes along with this. Also live, or I don't know if it's live, but simulated incidents. And anyway, he was pretty excited about this facility and offered his assistance to set up a program. Now, I'm not sure that he was wanting to do this for free or for a wage. That never came up. But he was looking at this as a wide expanse type program, of which I don't know that we have any in Indiana. Closest might be Atterbury. I'm not sure. Most of that I think is mostly National Guard, and then you got the Black Ops there at Mescatatuck, and that's kind of closed to everybody. You don't get in there very much.
Mescatatuck, they have trainings open to the public all the time.
Do they?
Yeah.
And I think and my son been down there too. I think they have medical exercises down there too. So we may want to be a little careful. The state's made some investments down there, so we may want to make an inquiry there before we go spending too much time as to what the state might allow or might help us with.
Well, that was nice about Mark and Jerry giving us the name of the guy, right, that coordinates training. Yeah. So.
And I've never been to Mescatatuck to see what they have. Went hunting at Atterbury, but anyway, there's nothing in this side of the state, and we do have pretty good expanse out there. Not that it can't be used or put aside later on if it doesn't take off. So.
The big question is who provides the funding to develop the site, whether the state's going to buy into it or not.
Yeah, I agree. That's why I think we gotta make sure that we're not taking funding from, or I guess we can take funding from elsewhere, but where they would allow it to go from elsewhere too.
The one in New York isn't actually, it's a New York State training facility.
Right.
So it's theirs, that's why they put the money into it. Indiana uses ones all over the country, so I don't know whether they want to build them in. And they have in Muscatatuck, Canterbury,
I agree.
Anniston, Alabama, and Spring, Maryland.
Mhm.
They're all places they send people to.
Yeah, I don't think this is anything you go into half-heartedly. It's either all in or all out. I don't know that there's anything in between on this particular type of facilities. I think that would be maybe a quick decision.
Yeah, I agree. Could be. So anyway, thanks, Mark and everybody. It's we chase all these things down because you never know where it could get us. So I hate to even come out and say it, the words out of my mouth, but we're still working with our insurance adjuster on the waterworks fire.
Why is that taking so long?
It's their engineer is talking to our contractor, and I don't know what they're saying, but the insurance adjusters keeps asking questions. So.
How long has this been going on now?
Yeah, months. So we basically told.
And you're without do we still have a generator
Yeah,
there?
we're rent and run, and they're paying the bill.
Oh, okay. The insurance company.
That was
Yeah.
my next question.
Oh.
Yeah. So that's sort of scratching our heads. You guys are paying that money. It says, so.
Okay.
And then the other jail, we've asked Sycamore to help us look at the older generator that needs to leave, and we're trying to get our contractor to give us the idea of the condition of it. Drain the old gas and see if it runs, and just get a feel for if that could work, and it could be a wonderful opportunity if that could serve as our permanent backup at the waterworks. That would be, of course, there's a lot more engineering and design to be done to see if that could align itself. So we'll see. I think that's kind of the highlights of our last meeting. We meet again May 20.
One thing I was going to ask, because we talked about it a couple different times, but appraisal on the building, and there's two appraisers there that we just had commercial appraisers come in that are doing that. Would it be possible to get an appraisal from that to know where that's actually at? Or
I mean, if you're really concerned that thing's upside down, our realtor, Cushman Wakefield, feels like the price.
you got someone listing it now, right?
Yeah.
Well, can they provide that? I mean,
Well, appraisals, it depends on.
I know.
They feel like we're fine. They don't have any concerns about getting that price, and that and someone be able to finance that price.
The only reason why I asked that, because the county does have $1.5 million invested in it, so, if we knew something that, I was just wondering about it.
Yeah, no, I hadn't heard anyone concerned about it being able to finance it, which was one of the concerns for commercial real estate about an appraisal. Can you finance against the appraised value? And that's not come up. Ormond, feels like as material prices continue to escalate, that building is becoming a value because it was built with materials that were less expensive, and that price point is not moving up. It's pretty much stayed the same since we put it up in 2018.
What is the term on that that realtor has it for?
It's a year.
2 year?
And then they got a 6-month tail on it, like any commercial realtor.
If they don't sell, there's no cost involved. Okay.
When does that come due? Any idea?
I think it's September, October we inked that. So we'll roll around this fall. Yeah.
How many more years we got left on that agreement with the county and their eyes on that building?
Yeah, I think we're finishing up. I think about halfway. 5 out of 10 years.
Was it a 10-year?
Mm-hmm.
I think we're in year 6, are we not, or approaching 6?
Yeah. I'll
That's all
Next
right.
meeting, I'll try to bring that back, and just so we've got a...
This is a loan, though. We don't have a direct investment in this. This is a loan to the Rise, basically, for the building. And we don't own any part of it. Garmong owns the building. So it's, whether it appraises out or not, at the end of 10 years, that's like a balloon payment, from what I understand.
Yeah, they have to pay back.
At the end of 10 years, then the money comes back to the county. It comes back earlier if it gets sold, but, so it's
For the
not
minute
a...
moment, it's rent, leased, or sold.
There you go. I'm telling you something you already know then.
Surprised.
Thanks.
Thanks, Bob.
Okay, thank you, Bob. Next is Vermillion Trails Alliance.
We don't have anything to report.
Yes, you do.
Come on, you come up and tell us what happened. Come on, give a report, tell us how good it went. Come on.
You had a big marathon out
We're
there.
still catching our breath from the marathon. You got that report already, right?
Yeah, we reported that last time.
I thought everybody else might want to know.
Well.
What?
Who's the success,
Come on, tell
was
us,
it
you
not?
guys did a good job.
Here last meeting and said that?
Yeah,
Yes.
Tom
Oh,
was.
was
yeah.
it?
Yes.
Yeah, yeah, because,
Has it been that long?
Because I think Tim said he was gonna run next year's race, if I recall.
Yeah, that's right.
That's
Oh,
right.
you're right.
I haven't forgot that either.
Was such a success, I just wanted to hear it again.
Well, it was, I mean.
But
well said.
if you don't want to speak, that's fine, but thank you for what you've done, and that's a tremendous asset to our county and community, and appreciate all your efforts.
We actually just got our, we had only thought we'd have about 100 runners, so we only ordered 125 medals, and ended up having to out like 180 some.
Great.
So we just got the order in, but I mean, people were so excited about those medals, we had to let them take pictures and then give them back. So now I've got them so I can send them out to the ones that do testing.
Did you guys take pictures of how many classes, just may I ask, of winners?
A lot, and I sent pictures with names of everybody to Eric Jones. So he's gonna keep running them in the paper, periodically, but he's got the names of all the winners and stuff with, that was taken at the start of the fund.
It was on the front page of the Clintonian.
Yeah, it's been a couple times.
Yeah, I mean, I mean, Les was on TV at the event, and we've done the Clintonian. I mean, we've publicized before, publicized after,
Already opened it up for next year and has some runners signed up, so,
Good.
yeah.
And I'm gonna send Bob Drury a bill for the plug that I gave to the Vermillion Ride on television.
We appreciate it. We appreciate it.
Was you gonna say something, Bob?
Just, I thought maybe, as we mentioned, that VTA asked to be at our May meeting and begin to recount the success, and then ask about, let's go ahead and sign up for next year, or have an agreement so that we can, there's no hesitancy about planning for the second annual.
Now, is this the first time that it's been opened up to an event like this?
We've done two. We did a bike 2 years prior,
Okay.
and then we did.
Yeah, that was last year, wasn't it?
Economic development did 2 5Ks.
I think that's good for the Rise. I mean, I know there's some type of risk. Anytime you do anything, there's gonna be some type of risk, and so always a chance of being sued. But I commend you guys for opening that up. It's good PR for you. It helps, really does, in the community.
And that's where we had additional insurance to cover that. I mean, that's part of the requirement, to do that is to have additional insurance to cover that liability. Well, I suppose I could report on that, because the Vermillion Trails Alliance has purchased, 2 things. We purchased a comprehensive general liability policy, and also a policy that will cover volunteers. And so we have that, we're insured now.
Can you send us a copy of that?
You had questions about our last
They haven't sent the
volunteer.
billing yet, but yes, I will make sure you guys get a copy. Thank you.
Yeah, you had questions about our last volunteer event, and we are covered.
Okay.
Good.
So,
Anytime we want you to have them, just let us know, that you're doing it, and a sign-up sheet, and just so we're all protected, it's
okay,
important.
yeah, we're sensitive to that, believe me.
Yeah, there's been a lot of good discussion with that. You guys done a nice job of crossing off checking the check boxes and so forth, so thank you for doing that.
Well, we're gonna move on to the next subject. Jail renovation, you wanna touch on that, Britton, about where we're going as far as the dates? It's nice
No,
to,
I didn't bring the dates with me again. Are out for bids for the project. I think they're due back here, I'm not sure what date now, April, or not April, but May
May
1st,
5th,
May 5th.
Oh, I thought it had a
May
5 in it.
17th, I think, is when we open them, when they're due back.
13th,
13th.
May 13th.
You guys report this. I don't know. I didn't leave I don't have my notes. But anyway, we're out for bids. We'll find out on that date. And then that's when you heard all the leasing and things going on here about the bonds and so forth. That's the date in which we will have a good idea whether we're in the ballpark of the engineer's estimate and then what our lease agreements are gonna come out to be, or our payment agreements actually are gonna come out to be. We have decided, and again, I don't remember what we reported last time, but we have decided on basically an 18-month build-out period. We will be moving the majority of the inmates out to other facilities. That'll give the contractors basically free reign of the facility to be able to construct in a good progression throughout the jail construction portion. We do have a couple of cells that will be remaining that'll move back and forth as the construction progresses. That's for people that are brought into the facility for an overnight, or basically to be until they get moved to another facility. We also have some inmates that are a little bit of a trouble that we don't believe that can be placed in another facility, and the state has not acted on those yet, so we will have to retain those probably for the duration of the construction, so there will still be a facility there for them as well. The sheriff is working on that. This gets us around the issues with the food, the processing, and we will still have to occupy 15% of the building. That's where this appraisal come into play, is that whatever that appraisal comes out to be, we need to occupy 15% of that valuation, if you will. I don't know why. We'll have to go into that a little bit further. But it's apparently one of the rules that we have to have for an existing facility to have it maintained. Let's see, what else is there? We're on schedule. Everything is going according to plan. And if there's any questions about the jail at this point, everything seems to be in place. The only thing I think that's hasn't been agreed to yet is actually the water line. So that's about it.
And the length of that was originally 24, and we went with the 18-month, correct?
Yeah, 24 was looking at the facility of moving the inmates within the facility itself, going to the pod and back from the pod into certain sections. So that would have required certain security measures to be taken. Contractors would have been isolated from the inmates, and it would have been a very difficult, I think, plan to be able to work with. But in my experience, it's a lot better if you can go into a facility that's unoccupied, basically, and have basically free reign to it. The 18 months, I think, is actually going to save us a lot more money than what we'll be expending in inmates going elsewhere. We still do receive funds for those inmates also from the state. So it's not a total outlay of monies that we'll be spending. We'll still receive the monies from the state for those. It will be more than what we would be recovering anyway. Anything else? Oh, come on. It's a jail. Okay, don't get too excited.
We're going to move on. We have a lady came, Jill Pastore came at the last meeting about a grant. Just thank you for allowing me to attend and present the grant for during your meeting today. Please see attached agreement. Let me know if you have any questions, or if Vermillion County would like to move forward with the application process. The next step would be setting up a public hearing.
She did say there was a deadline, didn't she? I don't have it with me, but I thought she said there was a...
I don't
I
know.
don't see anything on this that's stating a deadline.
I read through what she sent us, but it's all standard boilerplate information with nothing filled in. So I don't know what it doesn't even say what it's for or in my briefing. So I don't know how there's anything that we can do with this, or would wanna do with
I
this.
think she just wants to know if you want to move forward into actual public hearing to do all of this agreement, to go over it,
For what?
to get
What's
the
it for?
program. Remember she was here and she talked about the double.
It was about
for the
Oh, the cost
disabilities?
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
disabilities.
There really wasn't any side effects, it didn't, or no,
No, it's no money cost.
yeah, no money cost, there was no really negatives to the whole thing, except for
We
just
are-
benefit.
We already serviced 20 to 30 people,
Yeah.
I think. in
I think she said Park got like 200, and they asked for some astronomical number and they got it. So, I mean, I would move to let her know that we'd have no issue having a public hearing, that'd be my,
She's one from Park County?
yeah, the Park County, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't see the downside of it at this point.
Yeah, I would inform her that we'd like to move to the next step.
You make a motion?
I'll make a motion that we approve the
Proceed with.
proceed with Joe Pastore's recommendation on the, I don't even know where it's at, the grant? Or the public, to proceed to the
There's
public
26
hearing?
pages to that.
Yeah, 26.
That-
It's a disabilities grant program.
Yeah. I think there's only benefits to the
Oh, yeah.
grant.
I think it needs, if we're gonna proceed, then, I'll wait for discussion. There's a motion.
You have a motion?
Yeah, there's a motion.
You have a second?
You second it?
No, I said, do we have a second?
Oh.
I've given you the chance to do that.
Thank you. I'll make a motion, or I'll second the motion.
Discussion?
Yeah.
Any discussion?
Yes.
Okay.
I think if we're going to do this, she needs to fill out the form.
I think she will. I think she just wanted us, you guys to see it, to make sure that you wanted to move forward with it. She said you guys didn't make a decision at the last meeting whether you wanted to go with it or not. So if you want
Sure.
to, she'll get it all with you for you.
Maybe she can come back the next meeting.
Yes.
With the
She'll
filled
set
out
up a
form.
public
Yeah.
hearing for it.
And she'll take care of the public hearing, or is that
She'll do
something
all
she's?
that. She'll set all of it up.
Okay.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. Next, we have an ordinance, 21-4, approving claims and payroll ordinance.
We already had the first reading at the last meeting.
Had the first one at the last meeting.
Mm-hmm.
What this is doing is making it, correct me if I'm wrong, that we don't have to bring this in here for approval every time for the electric bill,
No, we still have to approve it. It just gives them the authorization to pay it
To go ahead and pay them.
Right.
before our approval.
Before your
Still
approval.
subject to approval, though.
Yeah.
All bills still have to be paid, but we can go ahead and pay them before we.
And we can approve this tonight then, since we had the.
yeah, this is second reading. We started something different here, that when something comes in here, we're not gonna approve it the first reading. We're always gonna do a first reading and then give it time for public comment. And then the second reading, we will pass or do something with it. But that's why we're doing this, it's taking a second reading to pass it. So,
I don't have any issues with it. I think it's a good thing to have. I would move to make a motion to approve County Ordinance number 2021-4 by title, and an ordinance establishing a system for approving claims and payroll in advance of board allowance.
I'll second RJ's motion.
discussion?
Is it only number 5? Yeah, wait a minute. Yeah. Is this only number 5? That's only one number? Wow. I thought we'd done more than that.
Or is this 4?
Resolution.
It says
Okay.
4 on it.
This is 4 ordinance.
Just what all bills, I mean, specific, is there specific bills that fall under this?
Yes.
And what are they? Just
You want me to read?
utilities?
Yeah.
or
Utilities.
just-
No, that's a lot more than that.
It's a lot more, yeah.
Is it all
Yeah, I
the
think-
dashes right there?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You want me to read them all? You want me to read them off for?
Okay, that would be fine. Yeah, I'll be able to know. Connie and I talked about it, because they run into that a lot with
Yes.
the community building
That's
and
why
stuff
we're
like
doing
that.
Here, she
And so I told her.
can have my copy, huh?
That's why we're doing it.
Yeah, there's specific ones that can be done, and they still have to be approved. It just gives them, what the ordinance does is allows utility bills, typically a utility bill is a good example, because they come due before our commissioner meetings happen. And because of that, we become delinquent and could incur fees and whatever else for that, or they could turn the lights out for that matter. Not that any of those things would happen, but anyway, it allows them to pay those ongoing and common bills, but they still are subject to approval at the next commissioners meeting.
Still need a vote on it? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? None. Okay, moving right along. Next is the ordinance for 2021-5 on residential solar amendment to the Vermillion County zoning ordinance. This is residential. This is our first reading, correct?
Nope, second.
Second reading.
Penny was here at the last meeting, and she was unable to attend today. I do have her statement if you would like to read it out loud.
Yes, we would.
Do what?
Read that.
I can read Penny's statement.
Want to read this?
Yes, please.
This is from Area Plan that tells the process in which they went through to bring this ordinance up. It says, number one, the Area Plan Commission started talking about residential solar in January 2021. During the February APC meeting, we had 4 citizens in attendance. During the March APC meeting, we had 8 citizens in attendance. The legal notice was run in the Clintonian on March the 27th. 2021, plus our agenda was run in Clintonian on April 3rd, 2021. During the April 8th public hearing regular session, we had 13 citizens in attendance. It was unanimous to move forward this forward onto the Vermillion County Commissioners with a favorable recommendation.
I would like a little more time personally on this particular ordinance to review, especially in light of the previous one, the commercial or the.
Yeah, I was gonna make that comment that I think we had talked about sending some changes back to zoning on the commercials, so I'd like to maybe look at this one as well.
Yeah.
One more
Closer
maybe.
than what I've had anyway.
Yeah, and go over the commercial as well, maybe put that on the agenda that will be.
That'd be good, yeah.
That way we can maybe do them, maybe by next meeting we can both have some, or we all can have some.
You want next meeting or the next?
I think 2 weeks is enough for me, I don't know.
Mhm.
Yeah, gonna put them on the next.
And when we send the one, if we send the one back for additional review, that's when we come into, John, what are the requirements if we send something back to them?
If they're sending you a proposed amendment, you guys can approve of it if you agree with it. If you want to propose to them an amendment, there's a longer process that you go through when you want them to amend an ordinance.
If we refer an previously approved ordinance back to them for review and for edification, what?
It would be the same thing. You would have to tell them what you're wanting them to look at, what you're wanting them to change. And if memory serves, they get 60 days to hold a public meeting and make a recommendation back to you. And then you guys get 90 days to either accept and approve it as recommended, or you can say, no, we don't want to do that, here's what we want to do. Then they get another 45 days to make recommendations back to you guys, and then you can do what you want after that point.
Okay.
One question I have, since we got someone here that's got a solar place, how does that affect people who've already got solar?
If you were to change the ordinance to make what they already had in violation of the ordinance, I think you would either have to do something to grandfather them in or pay them money if you were making them take their solar array down or something like that.
Well, we're not, I just got that question. I know some people got
Yeah,
solar
you'd want to
things here, and I
consider
want to create an issue for them.
Either creating an exception if one existed before the date
Before
you
the
changed the ordinance, or if you were adamant that just no, the rule's going to be the rule, then you shouldn't do it. It's called a government taking. If you're taking something from someone, you're supposed to give them fair market value for what you took away.
We're not. I'm just making sure everybody's taken care of. Has already got something existing.
Yeah, then you want to grandfather it.
Okay. Anybody got something to say about solar?
I have another
back there?
question though. Has this been sent out to town halls? Have we done this in the north and south and middle?
Well, see, that was one of the original things that I brought up when they, and I was, if I'm not mistaken, I was against the passing a previous ordinance on solar because it was not promoted, it was not, had enough public input. I think they should have had an open public meeting north, open public meeting south, and had the people had time to come in and discuss it.
Did anybody here know this ordinance was, have you read it or anything about it?
No.
Well,
And
we're not
I'm curious, why is the area plan considering any kind of regulation or ordinance regarding residential solar?
well, the state was,
What happened in place?
everything's being regulated on the wind and power right now, wind and solar. I mean, the state was trying to tell us what we could do here. I mean, they got beat.
You can have regulation, I mean, I have to have your permission to put rooftop panels on the roof?
That's why I'm glad you're here. We can address that, talk about it.
I don't believe you have to have, what it is it's area planning has come up with this solar ordinance for residential. If you're going to put in new residential, assuming it's grandfather, or that's your grandfather, but if you're putting anything new or a substantially new system in, then you have to comply with these rules.
Whose rules?
Well, it'd be the
Area
county's,
planning.
if we ever approve the ordinance, it'd be an ordinance.
So are they qualified to make rules?
Oh, yeah. I mean,
Well,
they're
whether
to
they're
make
qualified
any
or
rules,
not,
whether
they're
you-
authorized to. That's what they're supposed to do, in my mind anyway, is that they go and they talk to experts, to people who have an understanding of whatever they're trying to make a rulemaking on, and then they write a rule accordingly, and it's supposed to be for the protection, the safety, health, and welfare of the county, and the protection of property and all et cetera. So that's what they're supposed to do. Now, I don't know.
Now, do I then have to get permission to, like, put up a clothesline?
Not yet.
That's my solar
See-
clothes dryer.
I don't think there's no ordinance to that effect yet, Les, but I mean, I guess, and if your question is, could there be, I guess there could be ordinance.
I'm a little bit caught unawares by this thing, and I'm a little bit concerned about it.
Well,
Not
that's-
for myself.
That's why we're trying to figure out some way where people have a chance to respond to things that come up.
That's
Well,
why,
and I mean, I'm concerned about my neighbor, Seth Davis, who is a solar contractor. That's the way he makes his living. He
Yep.
installs solar equipment for people.
And I'm sure he would definitely have an input on this if he knew where the meetings were, what
But
time.
But I'm pretty sure he doesn't know about this.
I'm sure he hasn't seen the ordinance either.
well, that's one of the issues we've had as commissioners, is that these ordinances in the past have been passed, they've been read it may be published in a newspaper once or twice or whatever. There's been public meetings,
If
but
I can say something
they're not well
on
advertised.
say something on this.
And then they show up, and then nobody gets upset about them until all of a sudden it's an ordinance and it's in place. And that's what we're trying to get around, is that we have at least 2 readings here, but the question was, back when, was that, and this is the previous commission, last year, they were asked to do a town hall on these things, so that it got a wider distribution of comments, and that people would understand that something was coming down the road here, and that we could get kind of an agreement within the county that, yes, this is something that is for the welfare of the county. And we're not doing that, I don't think.
So this process has come about, though, because the state has mandated this?
No.
No.
This is residential. The only thing that the state, and it'll probably come back next year, it was an industry-driven, proposal, House bill was proposed for commercial, or basically wind farms and solar farms. Something that was larger than a residential. I think residential were exempt from that. But what they were doing was that they were trying to take over area planning and saying that if you want to put a wind farm in and you meet the criteria of the state statute, you can do it regardless of whatever the area planning or anything that the county says. The county has no say-so in it. So that was in crux what they were saying. That was defeated. We have a ordinance now on the books that was passed last year, a solar ordinance for farms, solar farms. And the farm is defined by, you have to look at what it defines. But we don't have anything on residents, and I don't know the impetus of why we have a ordinance in front of us at this point, but if you want to read it, I think you ought to.
Can I have a copy of that?
Yeah, you can have this
please.
copy, I've got
Yeah,
one.
copies.
But anyway, whether it's a good ordinance or bad ordinance, the issue I have with any of our ordinances is that we're not getting them out where people, like, you have probably as much stake in solar, you enjoy it, you write about it, you read about it, but yet you don't know anything about it. And you're probably as well informed as anybody is in the county on matters of the county. What's wrong with that picture here? We're not getting, I don't know how many times we write an ordinance. The restaurant ordinance was another one that came out. There's septic ordinance is another one that came out. They approve them almost in the same breath as soon as they come in. Yeah, maybe they might have a meeting about it. Yeah, it might have been published in the paper, if you get the paper, and even if you read all the jargon that goes along with it. But what we're wanting to do is have, on some of these, at least have a town hall that envelops the whole county where people can ask questions and understand what's going on and voice an opinion. And I, like the last one, the solar farm, I think it's a terrible ordinance. Not that I'm against solar, but it's just a terrible ordinance. The cost to the county, the cost of implementing these and then on the basis of the county is not even taken into consideration. Are we going to have an inspector actually go out that understands what they're doing and enforce these type things? Do they even understand what they're doing when they try to enforce them? Do we have to hire somebody to come in to enforce them? Is there a violation? If there is a violation, then what happens?
We're gonna move on that if you don't mind. I would like to have
I will share this
wait,
with some.
want a comment from.
It's not
our-
just this one, though. I'm sorry, I'm on the bandwagon on this, but
I want a comment from our attorney.
Yeah.
He's got something to say about that.
Well, I appreciate you all trying to get the word out.
Yeah.
What this, just to be clear though, what this does is it sets things like height restrictions and setbacks for solar, that if you're building a solar array that's within those specs, your permit's automatically approved. You get it because you're doing it within the ordinance. If you want to build something taller with a different setback, then you would have to go and get a conditional use permit if you want to get outside of this. So it's not horribly restrictive, other than you have to have a permit like you do for everything else in the county.
But it's open conversation.
Thank you.
Okay,
Jim,
we're gonna,
that's next.
okay. So we're gonna, not pass that tonight. There's gonna be open discussion for next meeting on for.
That and-
Would you like Penny to come to the meeting and then set up some town halls, or do you guys want to talk to her before? What do you tell her?
I thought you already asked for town halls back when, did you not?
I can't recall.
I
at least want to have the commercial and the residential on for the agenda and see if we can't make
Well,
some.
yeah, and this residential affects, I mean, a lot of people, potentially a lot of people, a lot more people than even the farms
The
do.
commercial, yeah.
I think that we should request that our area planning hold a town hall,
Yeah.
at least
I
north
agree.
and south, if
Yeah.
not in the middle, in all three districts for that matter.
Right.
Yeah, I would agree to that, make
I
a
agree with that,
request.
too.
And then she can relay that to the
We'll
board.
send it back to
And then
them
she
with the
has-
recommendation of having one or two town halls, one north, one south, or just where would we?
In each district, just have them in each district.
Yeah, you
Well, I
can,
just, north and south or middle district would be kind of,
You know, I'm amiable to that, but
okay.
In the past, they've done them at the fairgrounds and the library in Clinton.
Yeah.
library may not be a good spot. They only allow like 10 people, I think, in the meeting rooms at this point.
They have the community center now that houses a pretty good number of people.
We have our local church there that I pastor. We could also open that up in case of a meeting. There's plenty of room there, so
Now,
distance.
Penny, thanks, you know, Penny can decide that, but
Yeah, it's good for us. Okay, so we're sending that back and requesting him
did I
to.
get my idea across?
yeah.
Or did I talk too long?
But we're also gonna bring our comments back next meeting
Yes.
with both ordinances.
Okay, we're
Well,
gonna,
What happens is that these ordinances get passed, and then once they're enforced, then people go, hey, where'd they come from?
Yeah.
Because they didn't.
that's the problem with government.
Right.
how do you make government more open and transparent to the people, make it accessible to people?
One other thing that's gonna happen here shortly, is our website working? I tried to get on it last week and this week, and I wasn't able to get on it.
Oh, really?
We'll check it out.
Maybe it's just me.
It might just
But
be
we've
me,
got a
too.
copy now, electronic copy of the ordinances, and we're gonna be placing those on the website as well. So if you ever wanna look back to 1820 on up, you can look at those and you can see what we're doing right and wrong and what we should have been doing, what blue laws are passed and whatever else.
Next is small business list for grant money.
Hmm.
This is COVID grant applications. All the names are here.
There are two added that I have, there are two that came in after those. It's obviously up to you guys whether you take them and add them to the list in addition to your list. I don't know if there was an actual cutoff date on that.
Were the two businesses that Christie happened to say why they're so late? Did they get their application late, or did they?
Well, I mean, I'm not sure exactly
Well,
why
I know
it was specifically late, but I do know that initially they had talked, before Dylan left, he put a note on my computer, and I had said, what are the dates of the grant? Initially, it closed the 2nd of April, and that's when it went to the state, we got approved, but they were gonna reopen it from the 26th, I believe, for a week.
Well, I
But
know-
we have so many on it already, they're saying,
Yeah.
can we just go ahead and say anything that was in as of today?
Well, I know a couple of them. Like I know the post offices have trouble if someone just sends like something to our business. They'll
Yeah.
put the post office will be like 2 weeks late because it didn't have the PO box because we don't have a physical. And I'm wondering if a couple of these businesses, their postmaster maybe made a mistake and they.
Well, one's Taco Tequila, so I'm not sure why that one's in late. The other is CNC, and that one is because I ran into him last week, asked him if he applied. He said he didn't know anything about it.
I hate to cut any businesses
I
that
know, and so
I
do
mean
I,
that.
and that's why I asked if we can go ahead and add them.
Because I remember an email with Christie, you know, I think we done a good job sending out, 200 mailers or 300 mailers, I don't even know how many we sent out, but I felt like we were.
$200 worth of stuff.
$200 worth, whatever, yeah.
The
$200.
total grant was $250,000, if I'm not mistaken, and I think we have a $6,000 or $6,400 cost coming out of that for the grant writer, correct?
No, it's paid separate.
It's what?
This is all funds that will go to the businesses.
Yeah.
The grant writer's money, I believe, is paid separate.
Yeah.
And where does that bill go to with the grant
I
writer?
believe we might have ordered it.
Economic development.
I think that's.
Yeah.
Economic development is paying the rest of the bill.
I had a business call today and asked
Okay,
how you got this
that's
business name.
here and there, so right now we got 29, you say we got 2 more?
Yes.
So it'll be a total.
Yeah. My list, the last list that I showed that she sent out had 30 on it. I'm not sure which one.
There was one that was brought back because it was in Cayuga, apparently. It was
Yeah, I
There
talked-
was a question about.
Yeah, I talked to Lynn about that one. For whatever reason, even Christie said the address, when you type it in on Google Maps, it dropped it in the middle of Cayuga, and he has absolutely nothing in the middle of Cayuga, so I don't know, Google's got something messed up on that.
Yeah, they
So-
done it twice and
It done it twice, yeah. But anybody outside of Cayuga or even Eugene will have a Cayuga address, so.
Like Windy Ridge, they're.
It's a
considered
Cayuga, but-
they're not in city limits.
Yeah.
One of the questions I have about this, the town of Cayuga did one too, right?
They got 225.
Yep.
This one here is for the county, and why didn't the city of Clinton do one of these? I mean, you know what I mean, I'm thinking.
They could have saved a lot of businesses off this.
They have
I mean,
they have a lot more than we got.
But
And
they
so-
could have been part of this, I mean, it was still.
Yeah, I'm gonna say part of it is Clinton addresses on
Yes,
here.
oh, a lot of these are Clinton addresses, yes.
So I think,
It was just.
are we
countywide.
sure that there are 2 more?
Yes.
For sure?
Well, you got,
Yes, I have two.
she says she's got
Okay.
2 there and
So it'll be a
Annie.
total of 31.
Hold on one second.
I had
Annie's,
someone call today and say that they didn't receive anything saying that they even knew anything about this, and they are a small business. And wanting to know where we got the list to send out the flyers too, so I told them I didn't know who the list came from or where they got the list from.
Indiana Small Business pulled a list for Vermillion County businesses, under 25 people, that's where I got my list from. And I know I got a lot of Perrysville back, but I made phone calls and got their PO boxes, because like you said, they would not deliver.
Yeah,
Even Eddie Thompson, all of them got sent back.
Did you
And I had,
send one out to Randy Dreer, D&D?
No, and I talked to him about that.
Yeah, well, he's the one that called.
Okay, because I told him we were still taking applications, at least
Actually,
until
it'd be
today, if
32.
we wanted to get it done by today. That's why I pushed these guys to get
Yeah.
it.
So what was required, do you know anything about what was required? They had to have a tax ID number, or, I mean, what?
Christie had a lot of that, it was like sole proprietorship, I mean, there was
There was like another
stipulations.
page.
Okay.
Well, there's an application right there that she's got, you can take a look at in that blue folder.
Yeah, but it was like micro
So-
enterprises, it was,
So the main thing we need to decide is what we're gonna do with the money
How are we
and,
gonna disperse?
and how we're going to distribute it, right?
Correct.
Was there not two things? Do we not have to decide a closing date and then a distribution is the two things I think we have to do?
well, if we've got 2 applications filled out here tonight, but then we had one that called today that hasn't filled one out. I'd hate to cut any business out if we accept 2, you know, and I mean, if they're willing to.
If I recall, we may have to go back to the minutes of the meeting, but when this was introduced initially, did it not say that we would accept applications from a certain date going forward, and then when it got to the closing date, we would have 2 more weeks to?
I think
Something
she's,
to that
yeah, I
effect.
think she said it was up to the commissioners, because some counties didn't receive, she told me some of them didn't even get hardly half of these.
Well, what I'm getting at is that in a meeting, we kind of stated that this was going to possibly go for another 2 weeks after a certain closing date. Or after we found out if we were granted the monies, I guess is what it was. We would have at least another 2 weeks of open time. If we didn't have, at that point, we didn't know if we'd have enough. We definitely have enough, but I'm not sure it's necessarily fair to close it off and eliminate anybody, and I think we need to think about that a little bit.
I'd be okay with opening it up, but does anybody you want to open it up till the next commissioners meeting, or you want to
Well,
go till Friday, you want to go a week?
I don't have an opinion on that. I just think it's not.
Well, I don't want to cut out anybody, like I said, so I at least want to extend it at least till tomorrow. I mean, at least a day at the minimum.
And we couldn't get it in the paper till Saturday if you wanted.
But we have to have a stopping point.
Well, I agree with the stopping point, but there.
Because I talked to Randy, and I told him, I said, we're looking to close it at the commissioners' meeting on Tuesday. And so, I just saw him outside, I wish he didn't, because I was kind of waiting for his, and I was waiting for one other person in the courthouse, and they decided not to apply for it. And it's not a bad thing, but, the more you put into it, the less each business is gonna get. And I think that, we were looking at around 30 or so that would make it feasible for these.
What if we cut it off Friday? That'd give us 3 more days. We could say Friday at.
We have a special meeting then to distribute this?
Well, could we say something tonight, regardless of
The distribution?
and say, hey,
What's your advice on this, John? Are we doing everything
Were you
okay?
able to get a spreadsheet together with
That's
this?
it. I just handed it.
I had a different idea of a spreadsheet.
Or what, I
That's
mean,
all I got.
my suggestion would be, Britton, is maybe like Friday at noon or Friday at 3, and then say, regardless of the number of applicants, we split it evenly across the board. And just divide them by, if we get 32, if we get, well, we're already gonna have 31, so maybe 32, maybe 33. And that gives everyone a set, maybe $7 grand, $8 grand, I don't.
So if we go with the 32 that we have right now, they're gonna get 78, 1250.
We'll see, Lynn's already got the numbers down,
If
down to an
we go
exact.
with 32, so if we get Randy in there.
Then it'll just dwindle down a little bit.
Yeah.
But I think all these small businesses, they're
I mean, I
willing.
could put mine in on it. I mean, I run a small
Hey,
business,
anybody
but
could.
I just don't feel good, I don't feel right doing it. I don't feel like doing it.
Was, as long as you have 25 people or less, Some people,
Kevin could have put in for
They
that.
didn't realize they got money last year, and they thought if they got money last year, they couldn't do it this year, and I said, no, they're different time frames.
Yeah.
And so I had some additional applications, but people don't realize that they're eligible for it,
I think we
Even
need
though
to
they
set,
send them the paperwork.
I like the idea of the 30th, that's the end of the month, and it's a Friday, and I think that's probably a good closing day. And if they don't have it in by then, at the close of business, what's your closing time, 4:30? 4 o'clock?
So
4
then what
o'clock
about the
Thursday.
you decide? Do you guys have to decide when that one closes as well? or is it
Christie
town?
said that was the town board.
That has, we have nothing to do with that.
Yeah. So do we wanna,
but they get $250,000
They
too?
got 225.
Wow.
But they only had, last I knew, that somebody said it was more than this. Last list I got was 18 people. Have you heard anything else?
How many Cayuga have?
That's what Cuba has.
No, it's one or the other.
18?
18.
So do we
That's
wanna?
a pretty good
Yeah,
count.
look at it, nice, 12,000.
Do we wanna set the
Wow.
distribution already?
Yeah, 12.5.
Yeah.
If it says those numbers.
What I was hoping to do was to look at different things, whether the number of employees or the.
We're getting-
I
It would've
thought,
been simple.
I thought about that, but I mean,
Yeah.
I think
got
they're
it.
all small businesses, and I think the fairest way is just to go down, I mean, you could go through and go, maybe bars are in a tier, and then
Well, the
Christie had
reason-
recommended some tiers, and I just.
I don't care who's on there, but it's just like, I have my own little business, Luther Engineering, so I could have done that,
Yeah,
even
me too.
though I made $1 this year so far, I think, so. But here, I'd make more off this than I would if I'm doing any business.
I mean, there'll be follow-up paperwork too. I mean, all these businesses that are getting these dollars, there'll be a follow-up thing that they'll have to fill out and show.
We just make a decision, move on this. We'll talk about it all night if we don't watch out. So,
I would move that we split it evenly as the distribution, once it closes on April 30th, however many we have. That would be my recommendation, if anybody,
I'll second your motion.
my motion, sorry.
discussion?
Yes.
Oh, no, come on.
Does anybody else have comments on this? I already said my piece.
I really think it needs to be split evenly. I mean, I've talked to quite a few people that are, you know, on the list. It's really hard to say who's more deserving than someone else. You know what I mean, as far as, you know, whether it be restaurants or bars or whatever. I know Chrissy had talked about, you know, well, maybe do restaurants first and then tear them down. Well, personally, the restaurants I know of did a pretty good business during the COVID because they were able to conform and do business a different way and do the outside stuff, and they had really good years. That doesn't mean I can't apply for the grant, but I'm just saying, it's really hard to say who's better than.
Everybody's cost is up.
And this is a lot of wasted money in a way. I'm not saying here, but I mean, in the government
I don't charge
and
any more for it to
overall,
go
I mean,
cheaper.
people are getting money that,
It's Santa Claus.
Well, and that's why I was so glad to hear that you guys took, somebody had conditioned it, that taxes had to be paid and no liens. And I know personally, I called 3 people and got their taxes paid this week, because they could not get this grant money without having their taxes paid.
So we got back.
Okay.
So that was a good thing.
well, we might get some tax money out of this.
We did so far.
3 of them, okay. So let's set this date. Let's say we're gonna distribute it equally.
We already have a
among-
motion.
Motion
Either
is-
We're discussing.
we're-
It's ready
We
for a
have to act
vote
on the
now.
motion. Either kill the motion or.
Are you done with
Vote on it.
discussion?
Does anybody else have anything to say?
I don't think they
No,
do.
we're
I don't
good.
think they
We're
do.
good.
They're done, they're done.
Everybody else is too, I guess.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
You guys are killing me.
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Measure passed. So I want to say it again, what we're doing, that's going to be at
April
30th,
Yep, April 30th.
and it's going to be distributed equally among those regardless.
And Christie will handle all that with the state and,
Okay.
yeah, okay.
Woo, new business. This should be pretty quick.
Is that what you guys were waiting for?
You're hungry, me too, Lessa.
Save me a seat over there. Vermillion County Clerk Gracie York Credit Card Company.
She was unable to attend tonight. They're switching credit card companies to a new company, and she just needs, it's no cost to us, she just wants to get it approved that it's okay that they switch credit card companies, what they use up there. She just wanted to let.
To a different vendor.
Yes.
Who are we
Just wanted
using
to-
now?
We're switching CMS, is that what it
Is
says?
it CMS?
We are switching CMS and have to get a new company.
I think they're going to CMS.
Oh, okay, switching, maybe that's supposed to say switching to
I'm
CMS.
sorry.
And the reason why she's doing that, did she say what?
The other company was gonna charge
Okay.
Charge what?
charge a fee to use their system.
You mean charge the county?
Yes.
What were their rates to the county though? What were the differences?
Because they're not gonna charge us anything. Is that
Well,
what-
to the individuals.
I couldn't tell you, I'm sorry. She was supposed to be here tonight, but something happened and was unable to come. So I can have her come to the next meeting if that's what you want.
I think this is something we could pass tonight, I don't have any,
No.
you know, I don't have an issue with
I
it.
don't either.
Well, I
You
would,
want to make a
I would,
motion?
Yeah, I'll make a motion to approve the clerk's request to switch credit card companies.
I second that. Discussion?
Yes. American Express they're not a favorable company in my eyes as far as this is concerned. I think the people I'd like to hear more from the clerk's office concerning what these fees actually are. The American Express has other fees and other things that they charge people, and the difficulty in dealing with them that I've had in the past on something very similar to this, where we had company credit cards, and to get anything resolved was a very big issue with them.
Okay. You can follow up with her, or she'll get with you on that.
I don't know who she's going with, but First Financial, we've used them for a long time, and it's so worry-free, fuss-free.
Well, it's not a credit card, it's actual credit where they take payments.
Oh, I'm
That's
sorry.
the
I thought
Processing.
the credit card they want me to
Processing.
use.
That's
They're
where
wanting
they
to
take payments,
Okay.
yeah.
Processing.
And then also, is there anybody locally that does that, or is it just these national firms that do that?
Well, it has to be compatible with
Their system?
audit.
We need to move on.
You need to vote on this.
Well, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed?
Aye.
It's passed. Last on the agenda is Scott Miller Road Cut. I do not see that gentleman here. It came to our attention, someone reported that the county cut a road out there and they complained about it. We went and checked it, and it wasn't the county, it was a private individual. On further investigation, there was 2 other road cuts done out there that was not permitted. And so, since then, we do have a copy of his bond here. And I think it might have been filed. It's dated the 16th of April. I'd have to check the date that they actually did that. He paid his $20. There's conditions here that says what they're supposed to do. It says all work described in permit shall be subject to inspection of the Vermillion County officials, Board of Commissioners, Highway Superintendent, County Engineer, County Surveyor. That was not done. And they're supposed to notify us, and they're supposed to have drawings, supposed to be inspected and stuff. So what are we going to do about this? There's no, there was no notification to us that it was going to be done.
Do we have any penalties under any ordinance?
Not that I'm aware of.
Nothing currently? So what stops somebody from doing this in the future? I mean, or what?
That's the
The
problem.
lack of any rule.
So we need,
So you need to create, if you want to set a rule, set a
We need
rule
to-
for the
we need
process
to-
that they have to follow and what penalty you want to assign.
Okay, I think that's something we probably should.
You working on that anyway?
Okay.
Okay.
It's a work in progress, but things are going to probably continue the way they are at this point. Unless we want to put an interim rule into place.
If you guys want to come up with something, I'll write it up.
With the, if we have penalties and so forth, there's certain boundaries that we have to stay within, do we not?
Yeah, there's a statutory cap on how much a local ordinance can carry as a penalty. We're not allowed to punish more than that. Now, you can fine that amount every single day until they comply with your ordinance. So you can compound it, but you can't bill beyond that, and you only can incarcerate somebody under extremely limited circumstances.
And then how do you enforce that? Is there a potential, how do you even place a lien on anything like that since it's on county right away?
We could file a complaint against them and take a judgment in the circuit court, and then use that as a lien against real estate that they owned, would be one way to do it.
Okay. Yeah, if you would, I think it'd be prudent to get something in the interim in
Something
place.
short term.
Knowing that we may want to replace it, but
Just something to protect us for the foreseeable future until we get something in place.
Yeah, unfortunately, this has just become
A standard procedure.
yeah. If you get caught, then you ask permission.
I will do some more further investigation and see who did the other 2 cuts also.
Tim,
I don't know who did those.
before we adjourn, I want to give a very brief, don't look at me like that, must say very brief. Bridge 90, which is a bridge over Spring Creek on 1450 North, was purchased back in December. We're moving forward with eventually going out for bid. We're going to be working on some documents, so that will be completed. I'm not going to give a date because I don't know one off the top of my head, but in the foreseeable future. So that's my short and sweet update on Bridge 90.
Okay, any comments from the public?
I would just like to say, oh, I'm sorry. Okay. And I think Tim's been notified of this. We are having a presentation by David Carroll, May 20th at our board meeting. We're moving ours up a week. We're having it with the Reuse Authority. It will be out at the Reuse Authority. We are inviting Commissioners, Council, Reuse Authority, ourselves. On my way here, Roxanne said to me, invite the town boards as well.
What time?
5 o'clock. So
Is this the thing Becky put together about working together when we had that first joint meeting at the Rise?
Yes. It's all about economic development. This
Okay.
is what it's geared to, and it's Indiana economic development.
I would almost say it'd be prudent to the mayor, to anybody,
We're hoping to get
yeah, for a board, any boards really.
just wanted to put it on your radar that it's May 20th at 5 o'clock.
Who's the individual?
And then our board will have their meeting directly after that there,
Okay.
and then Reuse Board will have theirs directly after that there as well.
Who's the individual that should be there?
David Terrell, when we send an invite, I'll send a bio on him as well.
A couple other things. Thank you for the cleanup days. Penny's not here,
yeah, I need to-
but it looked like it was a huge success. Well organized. I don't know how Cayuga went, but I guess it was.
We ran out of containers, I think, within the first 4 hours. But yeah, now that you said, I want to give a special thanks to all the employees that worked. I know Mandy, I think, worked. Penny worked. Any volunteers? I don't think I've ever seen as many mattresses and TVs especially.
Did they have to pay for TVs again?
Yeah, and that's the thing, like the mattress, people were just handing out money, and I'm like, maybe we're not charging enough. I don't know, like, they were giving more donations, and I'm like, all right, maybe $5 needs to be up to 10. I don't know.
Well, I've heard a lot from the public that very favorable comments and all.
I think people on the north end, it was a godsend for a lot of people because they couldn't afford $250 for a dumpster, but they could get volunteers together and load up the TV, and now people's yards are looking cleaner. We even had people clean ditches out. So yeah, it was a
very, very well organized. From what I can tell from the south side anyway, it was very well organized, and for the people delivering food and things to the employees and the helpers, it was just went like clockwork. I didn't see any backup or anything to that effect. Things that I thought might go wrong didn't. So that's excellent.
And they're not even using District 2 anymore, I think. So
no, it's just
districts
two
taking it
garages, yeah.
Mm-hmm. So anyway, thank you to Penny and thank you to all the people that helped that come together. One last thing I have is thrift. Today there was a regional meeting, a Zoom meeting. It's West Central. Thrive, you're right, not thrift. Anyway, Thrive, and sat in on that meeting. They're basically trying to get everybody, and I don't know if this is a state initiative or what, but basically looking at a regional look at everything that's being done instead of it just being county by county, whether it's economic development or working on projects or whatever they're looking at. And I guess the state is kind of pushing this as well, is that they'll look at things more favorably, and maybe grants will start coming down on a more regional basis than they will be on a per county basis as we've been seeing here lately. So I think it's kind of a preemptive thing to kind of get everybody prepared to look at. So somebody might want to, this is the first meeting as far as I know for this particular group, and they're looking for ambassadors, and that always bothers me when they want somebody to help sell their sell an idea, so I'm not sure the idea is there yet to sell.
It really started in like 2017, when I first did my training for economic development.
Uh-huh.
They said that the trend is to regionalism, and that's what they were really pushing. So it's taken them a little while to get
There.
into the different, counties and try and form some regions there.
This may be something you want to sit in on, and I'll try to get you on that list next time of invites to Zoom. I assume it's going to be another Zoom meeting probably, but it's something that you might speak to easier than I will.
So can we back up to the road cut just for a second?
No.
Second, that ain't very long.
Well, it's just the road cut that he did, I have nothing to do with him permits or anything like that. What I can say is it will be tremendously beneficial to the county road, to drain the water it was a place where the water went across the road, the residue went out in the road. It's a horrible place that this will help solve. So if you're wanting to, I just ask that you don't punish somebody that's doing a great public service. And I have nothing to do with how he did it, if it's permitting, any of that stuff, I don't know. I know I'm the recipient of the water, because I'm the landowner on the other side. He hooked in the tile that we just put in. I do know that much. I didn't have any part of anything except for, I'm glad that this is solving a problem that's been ongoing for a long time. I could talk more, but I want to go.
Yeah. Well, we appreciate people wanting to, these are problems that need to be addressed. The problem is that one of the road cuts, they took up the whole road. School buses had to turn around in a confined area. People were late getting to work because they had to find a different route. There's other issues here with these road cuts.
I didn't condone what he did. I was held up there also, but.
There's no reason
The thing
for the
about it
county.
is, that is our county road, we're responsible for that road. If they would've called us, we would've replaced it. If it goes across the road, do what?
And I'd say, I have had that done before, and the county couldn't do it correctly. I said, I'll come down and shoot it. I'll bring my laser equipment and come down and shoot it and get it right. They would not call me, and it was not put in right. So I would not trust, and this has been years ago.
Years ago. Make sure you say that,
Hopefully,
years
yes,
ago.
And hopefully the county's up to doing it better now.
We're doing fine.
But I can tell you that the time that I've had them do it before to solve the problem, I said I'd come out and shoot it, we'll get it right. They would not call me, and it was not done right. So I'm suspicious when you say the county's going to come do it, just because of my past experience.
But don't give them nobody a right to do what they did at all.
I'm not arguing that.
And that's the whole thing.
Yeah, and you'll have to talk to him. You have to deal with him on that. That's not my.
Yeah, I appreciate what you're saying, Tom.
I'm glad that he is solving a problem that's been there for a long time.
And duly
Whether he did
noted.
it right or wrong, that's not mine.
That's what he told me today too. Same thing. Okay, anybody else? Okay, you.
No, absolutely not. Motion, no, I'm just kidding.
It has come to our attention that we are no longer able to pay Homeland Security, for our elevator
And
lift with a
Homeland?
check.
with a check.
So the auditor's office currently does not have a credit card to use to be able to pay them, and we are going to.
They will not take a check?
No, it's all
I've
done.
had to borrow my credit card for the last 2
I
years.
use it on
Is
my,
that-
it has to
Yes.
be
And
done.
who is it with?
Homeland Security.
I think Homeland Security's got some issues.
It's all online.
We are needing to go out and.
I mean, I can pay.
What do they have to do with the elevator?
We have to have a permit every year.
Permit is through
The Homeland Security takes in the building department. It takes in a whole bunch of groups now. It's not just
So
what you
does,
think of Homeland Security.
restaurants too. Department of Homeland Security also does restaurants as
So
well.
I can pay for it with my own credit card and reimburse me, but I didn't know if that's the way you want to do it, or if you want us to get a credit card so
It's
that.
gonna go every year,
It's
so.
gonna be an
It
ongoing
should
thing.
probably be I would think a courthouse or an
Well, the
auditor.
problem with credit cards is that they get abused and
This would only be used for this, that's it.
Yeah, I understand, but there's been a number of counties
That's
that
fine.
people.
How
This is
often? How often?
discussion.
You can still use mine.
How often?
I don't mind.
How often will it be?
Once a
How
year.
often do you need something like that?
Once a year.
Once a year.
Once a year, I'd
What do
say
you mean,
go
like a-
ahead, I'd say go ahead and do your thing and we'll reimburse you.
Okay.
If it's one time a year, there's no use getting a
What's the
card.
fee that they charge?
It's 120 for the lift, 120 for the elevator. So 240.
I am totally amazed that they would not accept a check. That's
Just
is,
like that.
I mean, I'm not
Like that. disagreeing with what
you're saying, it just don't make.
I
That's not
I think it's.
I'm not amazed at all, because it's Homeland Security.
I think it's admirable Andy offering, but if Andy's not here in 15 years and someone else staff goes, well, I'm not using any of our personal things, then I think we may be addressing
Well,
it.
she shouldn't have to, on something like that.
That's what I mean. I think the entity, the county should look at, what about a bank card and just using it once a year, you know,
That's all I went for. It would never get, it would be put away.
I mean,
never
why
get
couldn't it
used.
be
I just
locked
want
up in the
for
auditor's office
just that
somewhere
reason.
But if you're gonna use it one time, why don't you just go ahead and do it and we'll reimburse you. That's.
Send the bill at 10.
Okay.
Right? So that, I'm just.
Where you going, John?
I wanna go eat.
Me and John's 30 minutes late. We said
Yes.
7:30.
So, we're just making a decision, she can go ahead and use her credit card and we'll reimburse it. That's what we're saying, right?
That's fine.
Yeah, that's
I think eventually
That's
I'd
up
like
to
to
the
see it.
auditor.
Yeah, I think eventually they should have their own card, but that's, for now, if she's okay
You
with
got
it.
anything to say real quick before we get out of here?
You sat through here for this whole
Okay.
thing without saying
Motion to
anything?
Hey, easy, man.
Motion adjourned.
Second. And you made the motion to adjourn?
Motion adjourned.
I second it, I suppose.
Oh, my God.
I did it with exclamation mark.
Discussion?
Yeah, you didn't even ask for discussion on that. There was no discussion
All
on
in
that.
favor?
Aye.
All right.
Aye.
Yeah, I know.
John